Have you ever felt a shadowy entity in front of your eyes? One that is very close to you but disappears as soon as the light is turned on. This happens to me every night, and today I am going to tell you that the shadow did not come just to look. My name is Zane. I am 22 years old. I live in a small town in America, Willow Creek. The nights here are very quiet, so quiet that even if the fan is turned off, you can hear your heartbeat. It all started the day I moved into my new room. The room was old. My breath caught in my chest. Only my eyes were moving. I dared to turn on the lamp and the shadow disappeared, as if there was nothing there. I thought maybe I had dreamed or was being deceived in my sleep, but it didn't happen once. It started happening every night. The next night, again after 2:30 a.m., I opened my eyes. Then the same shadow, and this time it was a little closer, so much so that I could feel its breath on my forehead, but there was complete silence in the room. I tried to scream. My tongue seemed to have frozen. Only my eyes were still shaking. As soon as I turned on the flash of my mobile, the shadow disappeared. But there were wet footprints on the floor. A shiver ran through my whole body. I told this to my friend Alec. He jokingly said, "There was moisture on the walls, rust on the windows, and the strangest thing was a black stain on the ceiling right above the bed that could not be removed even by washing." The first night I felt something strange. At about 2:37 a.m. I opened my eyes. It felt like someone was standing right next to my face. My eyes were half asleep, but a shadow was standing right next to my bed, right next to the headboard. My heart stopped beating. I couldn't move. I didn't turn on the lamp this time. I prepared myself to die. And then the shadow said, "You saw me. Now I will see you too." For the first time, I heard its voice. It came from a grave, like a whisper, but penetrating deep inside. This was just the beginning. The shadow didn't just stand there. It had now started appearing in my dreams. Maybe there is a jinn living in your room who is afraid of light. We both laughed. But the next night, that laughter got stuck in my throat. That night I started having trouble breathing, as if someone was sitting on my chest. I opened my eyes and the shadow was no longer just standing. It was bending down and staring at my face. That day had become like poison. When night came, the weight on my heart increased, as if someone was tightening its grip on my soul. I saw myself in this same room in my dream. One was mine and the other was my mother's. Now, that shadow didn't just come at night, it had also entered my dreams. Now, I was sure that this was not an ordinary shadow, but a jinn. He slowly stepped closer to my face and whispered, "Now I will not only see you, but your descendants." I screamed and got drenched in sweat, but the difference was that it wasn't me on the bed, but two bodies. The room was cold. Blood was dripping from the ceiling, not water, and then the shadow came. Then one night, the last night, that shadow didn't just stand there. It put its hand on my body. My body went numb, but everything was not like a dream. There were wet footprints on the edge of the bed, just like in a dream. The practitioner gave me a special amulet and told me to keep it by my bedside before going to bed at night. But the room had changed. Now the same shadow comes to my viewers' dreams every day. If you open your eyes at 2:37 a.m. tonight and you see a shadow standing by the bed, remember that it is not just Zane's. It is now following you to message from the viewers of Cursed Narratives. But that night, when I slept, the shadow came, and for the first time, he picked up the amulet in his hand and burned it. We bring you a new, original, and terrifying horror story every week. Like the video, tell us in the comments, what was the scariest moment of your life? And next night, I was seeing everything with my eyes, but my body was not moving. The ashes of the amulet were burning on my pillow. The shadow that reveals itself now, matters were out of control. I could no longer sleep, nor rest. I started studying old Islamic books. It turned out that some jinns only cling to those who see them. Once they show their reflection, they are no longer free. And I have seen it many times. There were strange scratches on the walls of the room, as if someone had carved it with a fingernail. "Do you want to look at me?" I contacted a spiritual practitioner, he said. "This shadow is a blind jinn who only haunts those who acknowledge its existence." One night I decided to keep the camera on. After 2 a.m. the camera recorded the sound of movement. When I watched the footage in the morning, the shadow was standing right in front of the camera, but its face was hidden in the fog, and behind it some strange words were emerging on the wall. There were "Death sees and remains silent." I wanted to delete that footage, but the file was automatically locked. It was neither being erased nor... You believed in it. You lit the light. Now it is tied to you. I was tired, scared, and lost all day. My tongue was stopped. My breath stopped. The light went out. And then I saw his face. That face was my own face. Yes, that shadow was my soul that had committed suicide in this same room years ago. Looking into my eyes, he said, "Now you will live and I will watch, standing by your bed every night." And then I opened my eyes. If you liked this story, be sure to subscribe to our channel, Cursed Narratives. Sleep well, because the shadow no longer lives only in Zane's room.